Hello, Mestorians, my people who love the history, but we love the mess in it also. We are here today with a quick recap of The Gilded Age, Season 2, Episode 2. This one was called Some Sort of Trick. Remember, that was the line said by Armstrong when Peggy tried to help her. But we're going to focus on the Russells on this particular part of the recap. I'll talk about everybody else a little bit later. So this episode opens up to shouting at the Russells' mansion, and it's all about that Oscar Van Ryn. It's time for Bertha and Gladys to pack up and go to Newport, and Gladys doesn't want to go because she said that she's got some unfinished business that she's got to take care of before she leaves town. And this business has everything to do with Oscar Van Ryn's proposal to her. I love the relationship that George has with his daughter. He lets Bertha know that he'll try to reason with her. He has to sit down with her in her bedroom. And ultimately, he lets her know that he will support her decision in a love match. When you tell me that you're in love, then I will support your decision no matter what. No matter even what your mother says, I'll support it. And I love that she has faith in her father with this decision. Obviously, with Bertha, not so much. And George lets her know if there's anything that he knows that she is too good for Oscar Van Ryn. But he also lets her know he'll let him down gently. Now, I don't know what your definition of gently is, but that's not what I recall seeing. Then we get Oscar showing up to George's office, only for George to tell him flat out in every way, no, heck no, hell no, no way, you're not going to marry my daughter. Oscar is stunned. He thought that he would be able to state his case. He's like, hey, I've got papers and everything. She'd be living right across the street from you. It's going to be great. And George explains to him flat out, my daughter is not going to be caught up in any kind of marriage of convenience. I know that's something that you rich and fashionable people do at these churches around here, but not for my child. If you notice, he kind of shushes him like he's doing him a favor. You all, let me know if you all think that George knows that Oscar is gay. I wouldn't be surprised if there were rumors, floating around town. But is that what he was hinting at? Is that why he's like, okay, let's not talk about it anymore. Like, you're getting off lightly. Let me know if you think that he was hinting at that, or was he just saying enough is enough, get out of my office. And poor Oscar, we know that he couldn't take the news that he's not going to be able to marry this girl who he wanted to take advantage of and enjoy her parents' money. So I don't feel sorry for Oscar, but he does look totally let down. And at least Marion cares. But Oscar, we know later on in the episode, gets to Newport and he gets over it. Speaking of Newport, we've got a new character, Mrs. Blaine, who is all too thrilled about the newest, hottest architect in all of New York and Newport, Larry Russell. I mean, she's got to hire him while she can because this guy is on the move. 6 months into the architecture game, and he is redesigning the biggest mansions in all of Newport. You go, Larry. Mrs. Blaine gives me a really spooky vibe. She seems to be way too attached, way too fast to our young Larry. And I get that she didn't like being married to some old guy, but girl, you married him and you were able to take advantage of his finances for all that time. The way that she keeps insulting him and making jokes that are in poor taste about him to Larry is kind of disgusting. We get it. You're glad that he's dead and you get to spend the money now, but 1 or 2 jokes is enough. She keeps putting the man down. He's dead. Let him rest, right? Well, she hires him right away. No questions asked. She doesn't want to see any drawings. She doesn't want to see any other work. She is convinced that Larry is her guy. And he lets her know that's great. He'll get to work right away. But before I do, I have a little appointment in Newport. My friend is playing in a tennis match, and I've got to see him. She's clearly hinting for an invitation. Oh, my husband, he didn't like those kinds of things. I haven't been able to do that kind of stuff in years. Oh, really? Well, would you like to come with me and my friends? And at that point, Bertha has to interject. Excuse me, he's going with a rather young crowd. Larry, do you really want to be taking this old hag to go and watch tennis with you and your young friends? And yes, he does. He wants her to come. So he takes her to the casino at Newport. His friend, Dick Sears, wins his tennis match, and Dick Sears was a real person, by the way, who did win a lot of tennis. And Larry lies to his sister, poor Gladys. She wanted to leave the casino with her brother to go and celebrate because he said that if Dickie won, then his friends were going to go and celebrate. So, hey Gladys, can you have someone else take you home? Because Mom wouldn't approve if you came out to celebrate with me and my friends. She lets him know, well, Mother isn't here. Well, little does little sister know, Big Brother has his own plans, and yeah, he's going to be having a Dickie celebration. But it has absolutely nothing to do with tennis. He spends the night with that old lady, Mrs. Blaine, and his mother is up at 5 in the morning, dressed to the nines, waiting for him to get home so that she can dress him down. Bertha calls Larry to come just out of the way of the servants who are there. But then they kind of had a little bit of a shouting match, so I think that the servants heard at least the end of their conversation, which didn't go as Bertha planned, I'm sure. Larry pretty much tells her, we got it on, and I liked it, and I'm going to do it again, and you can't tell me that I can't. She tells her son that there are other ways that these urges can be handled, and I think that we know what those urges are when he mentions, well, what do you mean, prostitutes? She tells him that he needs to leave that old lady alone, and he basically tells her, sorry, Mom, there's no way. You're making me angry. Me and this ringlet of hair on my forehead, which I've shaken out of place from having to yell at you. Now, all of this, right? Larry is standing up to his mom. He's being very firm with her. He's telling her how things are going to be. Can you imagine? And poor Gladys, I don't even think that she got to hold Archie Baldwin's hand. I don't even think that she got to give him a peck on the cheek. But here is Larry just telling his mom how it's going to be. Well, look, when you're the hottest architect in town, in 2 towns, you're able to lay down the law. And of course, we had Ward McAllister in this episode, being his grimy little two-faced self, playing both sides of the fence in this opera war, siding with Mrs. Astor, saying that he wants to help the old guard uphold the old opera house, but then also helping Bertha with people who have money to donate to the new opera house. And oh, I've got this couple. You've got to meet them. They're the Wintertons. The old man has just married a new woman, and she's young, and she likes to play, and they've got money, 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 and you need to get some of it, honey. So I'm going to bring them to my ball tonight, and you shoot your shot. Well, we know. I'm sure that we all took a gasp when we saw that Mrs. Winterton was the former Mrs. Turner, Bertha's lady's maid, and she was all too happy to be smiling in Bertha's face as Bertha's new neighbor in Newport. What do you all think about this? What is going to happen now that Mrs. Turner is back in the picture? George should have squashed Bertha just like he did his stenographer. He should have gotten rid of this lady, but do you all think, though, that it's going to get back to Bertha that Mrs. Turner was in George's bed, naked? How's it going to come out? Who's going to tell her? Is Mrs. Turner going to tell her and kind of twist the story? Or is George going to tell her in a moment of honesty that came way too late? Let me know how you think this is going to turn out. Let me know any theories that you have about what's coming up for the next episode or for the rest of the season, because I am getting this one out very late. As you can tell, I'm still under the weather. I tried to wait as long as I could, but I had to get this out today. Hopefully I'll get better soon so that I can get these out a little bit more quickly. But anyway, let me know all of your thoughts about this episode in the comment section. And if you don't already know, I have published some videos about some of these people who were real life people who are in this show. Ward McAllister, since he appears in this episode, is one of them. If you haven't checked out that video, you might want to check it out. I will leave a link to it in the description box. See you on the next video.
This video has been brought to you by me. Well, my Patreon is a sponsor for this video. If you like these dirty scandals on my channel, then you'll love my Patreon, Ty's Too Hot Hot Mess History. It has all of the stuff that I can't talk about or show here because it's just too hot, too violent, too sexual, too graphic, too much. Come and join us there for the hot mess history. The link is in the description box.